Hello, this is Joe Sparks. I'm going to give you a quick introduction to dynamic display advertising, Teracent style. Who is Teracent? What do they have to do with Google? Well, we were a smart little startup in San Mateo doing some pretty interesting things with dynamic display. Um, Apparently, we were beyond smart. We were acquired by Google in 2009. We're in our second year of integration, and our first evidence of that is the Teracent powered studio, where you get all the great dynamic stuff of Teracent inside of the wonderful studio environment. Let's define display advertising first. Display advertising, it's got its own little Wikipedia entry. On the internet, it's basically anything that has animation and graphics, audio and video. It's something that's graphically designed, as opposed to, say, text ads that show during search advertising. Display advertising is just more graphically rich advertising. It's also a pretty big business, apparently. So what is dynamic display advertising? Well, in the olden days, dynamic just meant anything that was moving at all. Just if it moved, it was dynamic. If it was still, it was static. But in our new context, dynamic is anything that is changeable and customizable at any time while the campaign is being served. So, for example, the design is modular. In this example, we're showing something that looks like a highly designed ad, but any element inside of this design can be changed. Backgrounds, products, characters, headlines, CTAs, all of these things can be changed, measured, and measured on performance basis and so on, and slotted into the ads in real time as we go. So if you would open one of our ads, say in Flash, and take a look at what it looks like, you would see these placeholders for all those elements you just saw. So this one design could serve a great variety of ads if it's designed well. It can eliminate the need to create so many different versions of your creatives, like hundreds. If you have lots of messages, lots of imagery, instead of creating hundreds of ads and trafficking them and QAing them and examining them all, you can create one ad that's much easier to test, that can serve the duty of many, many more messages and things that you need to do. So how does the ad know which to pick from all those possible elements? Well, in the Teracent world, we use machine learning. So there's learning on the back end that's testing performance and choosing the best things to pick in the right context. And why do we go through so much trouble? It's performance. The ads perform better. You spend the same amount of money, but you get much more return on your ads. That is the number one reason. The other reason is this hidden benefit. If you're used to rolling out hundreds of ad campaigns, if you could design a campaign that could serve all the duties, not just now of all the messaging and creatives that you need to serve, but in the future as you roll out new things, the productivity is incredible. Now, the power of it is that the ads look like custom hand-tuned display ads, highly designed, but we're using automation to help increase performance, but we maintain your creative fidelity. And we do think this whole technique and this means of doing things is a big part of the future, all the way to television. So let's talk about creative optimization. So imagine we have 4 different ads that are different by one way. Over time, we compare them, we find the winner, and we start serving that winner more and more often in the right context. The losers, we punish them and we serve them less. But we keep serving because over time, losers might become winners and winners might become losers over time, because there's different arcs in time and in context. Now, here's a very simple example of creative optimization. We had a client, it was a dating site, and they had recorded all of these different fake video chats, basically, and they wanted us to test them all and find which one was the one single best performing winner. So we created a display ad that slotted in each one of these ads, and we test them, thousands upon thousands of times, and found the winner. So that's great for their campaign. Their campaign performed better, but the ultimate goal in the end was to use that video chat for a television commercial, which they did. Now, there's one winner, which is great, but in data context, like even the simple thing of gender, in just this one simple slender bit of data, we might find multiple winners. So different parts of your creative may resonate with one group and in some other set with another. So that is a whole new world of multiple winners. When you create distinct imagery that's different, not just slight variations, you're more likely to find resonations with different areas and different audiences. And we want you to experiment, try out all of your offers and messages and CTAs. They need to be good. We want good options to choose from. Now let's talk about another kind of data, geo-targeting, like where you are in the world. This one uses weather. We can instantly look up weather, and you can see the ad is changing and picking different things based on the weather in which the ad is running. So let's take a close look at like the city name. We can pick up the city name and fly it into the ad. We can choose the background. We can show the temperature right in the area where the ad is being served. We can pick the products. We can change sentences, add different adjectives, and build a complex, customized ad just for the person in that area. And for just a second, I would like to concentrate on dynamic sentence construction. Imagine writing with variables and being able to test and choose great, tasty, crazy, dynamic, being able to choose these different adjectives in the middle of your sentences in real time. We can do that. And not just for adjectives, but for city names, for other, product names and other custom relevant things that are more relevant for the audience that's seeing the ad. Now I'm jumping ahead to imagine that you've made your first dynamic ad and you've ran this campaign, you shipped it out, it's running with all of your different elements. But then in the next month, you're all ready to go, but you just want to change one aspect, like say the characters in this silly example. You've got the cast of Mad Men, but now all you have is a batch of new graphics for a new set of characters. So like maybe a Sesame Street would be better to serve your ads, and you want to try it out, or you want to introduce those characters. Instead of re-engineering all of your ads and recreating them from scratch and retesting them, re-QAing them, so on, you can just hand us a folder full of images and we will slot those into your already running ad, and we'll still get the benefits of everything we've learned from what's working so far, and then we'll start testing the new elements that you get and just learn and get better as time goes on. So this is something we call always on, like an ad campaign that's always on, and you're feeding it, you're changing, you're adding new elements, but you don't have to create a whole new campaign. Now this idea here is just from my experience in ad agencies, where people brainstorm and come up with all kinds of wonderful ideas, some of them bad, some of them good, but it's just a few people that are judging these ideas. So imagine a client requests a new campaign and they've got a new product rollout or so on. So you get your creative team together and you brainstorm a bunch of ideas, say like 10 ideas. And so the client looks at these 10 ideas in a series of meetings and picks 3 maybe, say 3. Why don't you take and give me a little bit more on those 3 possible ways to go? So after multiple reviews and meetings, maybe 3 rounds, a couple of people at your agency and a couple of people on the client side pick one idea to put all the money behind. And so that idea is ran with, and you go out there and you develop it, you design it, and you present and risk everything on this one idea. What we want you to do is use all the ideas. So just use all of them. Just put them all in there. Or some crazy offers, ideas, photos, imagery, anything that you may have looked at, used, examined, and considered using, but decided not to use because you didn't want to risk it all on that. So here I'm trying to illustrate this elusive concept a little bit by saying be surprising and experiment. So just the natural way things are now, you may choose something safe to illustrate something simple, like I've never been so happy. Let's imagine that's a concept for an ad. So you may review all your possible options and choose maybe a couple of things that seem safe, that everyone kind of resonates with. But you may have wanted to try something else, something more symbolic or bizarre, or just something weird or even funny or goofy. Before, you wouldn't risk creating several new creatives and trafficking them independently just to see if this wacky idea works. But now you don't have to worry about that. Just use them all, put them all in. We'll find out what works, and we'll reward those winners and punish the losers. And you might find something surprising is working really well. That's kind of a new way of thinking of advertising and designing, and we're pretty excited about it. I want to introduce the idea of complexity. Teracent ads are a little bit more complicated to develop, obviously. when you have one static concept that's always the same, always looks the same, then designers can design it just so, put the text just in the right place, design the graphics exactly right. But when you start adding a whole bunch of graphics that could go in that place, and a whole bunch of new text of various line links and so on that go into the same area in the design, it can introduce problems. So we have a simple formula for measuring complexity. So here's a simple dynamic ad concept. We've only got 3 ad sizes, and we only have 3 dynamic elements. Headline, the CTA, and the vehicle image right here. And now I'm imagining that you only have 10 different vehicles you want to show, only 10 headline text to try up here, and only 10 CTA strings to put inside this button. Okay, so using a simple formula, we multiply the dynamic elements by the ad sizes, and we get a complexity score, which is 3 ad sizes, 3 dynamic elements, and we get a complexity score of 24. Let's go look at a slightly, it seems to your eye, just a slightly more complicated project. There's 3 images on screen. We've got some disclaimer here. We've got a rollover for Lego. Well, I'm really pumping up the complexity. I'm saying 6 ad sizes. We have a lot more dynamic elements. We have 40 photos now, which is not uncommon at all. Often we have 80, 100, 200 photos, or a catalog of thousands of photos to get slotted into ads. So 40 is not outrageous. But let's just imagine a more complicated project using 6 ad sizes times all of these new dynamic elements and all of the assets. We get a 151. So something that may look to you when in your design phase may look on the appearance like not so much more complicated, but in fact is actually 6 times more effort, more trouble. And where does that trouble come from? Well, this simple idea of like what could go wrong with 55 headlines. You're used to dealing with one headline or maybe a handful of headlines, and that never change. Well, of course, if you're introducing a lot more text, it's all got to be corrected, like all the things that normally go wrong with copy, misspelling, copy that's too long for the design, how it breaks in certain ad sizes, disclaimers that are conditional. All these things are normal things you would normally find in any ad campaign. But when you multiply it in a dynamic campaign, it can get crazy. So that's why, because of this multiplication, we want you to start simple. Just keep it easy. We can try out a lot of things, but don't go too crazy. So a clean design with plenty of room, it's good advice anyway, because collisions between the different dynamic elements is the most frequent problem, where parts fitting together, the modular aspect, they're just not fitting together nicely. We have a lot of tools to soothe these problems and make it better for you. So that's why we say if you want to develop dynamic ads, and we think the reasons are enormous why you should, please get together with us online or in person, and we'll go through how to use Photoshop and Flash and all of our cute little coding tools to help make the design of dynamic ads as easy as possible. So I'm going to run through the final reasons why to do it. Performance, higher return, the insights that you gain when you learn what kind of elements are working will lead to better work. It's great, like biofeedback in the design. And the clients, of course, are going to like that. Productivity, the whole thing of designing ads that perform the work of mini ads. Super campaigns are the duty of many, are easier to refresh and maintain, and also reusable in future campaigns. The automation with creative fidelity is one of our competitive features, I think. It's hard to spot our data-driven ads, and we work very hard to preserve creative fidelity. But most importantly, we rely on your creativity for the best results because, yes, dynamic is the future, but I'm skipping ahead to this other idea. 2 sides of dynamic advertising. The creative design side and all of our cool tricks that we have on the server engineering side. Now, the modular elements, the messages, the animation, that's your side. And our side over here on the server engineering side is just completely meaningless. It's just empty potential. We need designers to figure out all the new things that can be done with this. We don't even know what can be done with this. So we need creative brains to come up with the right thing to create for our platform. And we're hoping that you will be that creative. So thank you so much for taking a quick look at dynamic display advertising.